I remember in 2001 when the movie came out, you were on the Rosie O'Donnell show.
Yeah.
And she would later talk about how she had to, like, they had to fight to air a clip of the film on the Rosie O'Donnell show. What was the conversation? Like, were you privy to those conversations or?
It wasn't a clip. That wasn't the issue. The first time we were on was when we were off Broadway. And she was obviously a big theater fan and a bit in the closet, but always interested in queer theater too. You know, she produced Taboo, you know, about Boy George.
Yes.
So she loved Hedwig. So she wanted us on. They were the only people who really first wanted us on. And it was a daytime show. And the way she put it is that her studio was saying, we can't have a drag queen on daytime television. It's just, you know, it's inappropriate. There's kids watching, whatever. And she's like, what are you talking about? You've got trans people and drag queens on Jerry Springer throwing chairs at each other. Mm-hmm. How about a drag queen singing about love? And they backed down. And she had us on, created a little set for us, and we did Origin of Love live. And she was wearing her Jets jersey and gave me a hug after, and we ended up putting that in the movie, like when Hedwig becomes famous. And it was fine. And then David Letterman had us on, but that was weird because
please tell this story with the wig.
Yeah, it was like that was much more hands off and less cozy, probably because of straight guys involved. But we were rehearsing, and I ripped off the wig in the last beat, which is an old drag thing, you know, from 100 years ago. Like, look at me, you know, I'm a man, I'm a woman, whatever. And we rehearsed, and then from the booth we heard a disembodied voice saying, "Could you please not take off the wig during the song?" And I'm like, first of all, where are you and why? Pause. Could you please just not take off the wig during the song? And I realized they wanted people to think it was a woman and not panic and send them messages, whatever. So I did the song and ripped the wig off after the song rather than on the last beat. And they cut it out. And David always would come down, you know, and shake the hands of the band and stuff. He didn't come down, which I'd never seen before. So that's what happened in that world, you know.
You know, so many people are rewatching Girls now. They're starting from the beginning. And you famously played Hannah's book editor. You were in like 5 episodes. How was so? And you just mentioned Lena Dunham just found you and cast you.
Yeah, I had gone to a premiere of the first season and met her there, like at the Boom Boom Room of the Standard or something, which was a place people would have their hip openings. And she was, you know, she was a fan of me and Hedwig. And in some ways, you know, SHORTBUS informed it, right, in terms of its tone, sexuality and comedy and, you know, definitely in the same world, you know, Brooklyn and New York. And we exchanged numbers, and she just texted, "Do you want to play my manager, my book editor?" And I was nervous. I hadn't really acted in about 10 or 12 years, and by choice. And I was like, "Can I see the script?" And I looked at it. It was like pretty good. I was like, "Can I rewrite some stuff?"
Yeah.
She's like, "Sure." So they moved so fast, and I didn't really know. And I came in with a completely rewritten, you know, scene. And she didn't panic when she looked at it. She's like, "That's good, though I think we should keep what I had there for that point, but I love this new stuff." And she was for a young person, very good at editing quickly in the script mode. And I was really nervous, and she calmed me down, you know, at whatever, mid-20s, and I was in my mid-40s. And it was a complete pleasure. So after that first scene, I relaxed, and I would, you know, punch up the scenes. And every time I had a gig after that in another show, I would do the same, ask respectfully, you know, like I was on The Good Fight, and they would let me rewrite, suggest stuff. And later, Lena said, "You know, the only person I let rewrite was you and my mom." So I really love her, and she got me back on the performing track, which I very much enjoyed. But it was funny to be the old guy. I remember Adam Driver in one scene saying, "It's very nice to meet you, sir." I'm like, oh my God, I'm like an older guy now. Um, and then she would take my advice. We had a kind of a slightly expositional scene that didn't have a lot of juice. And I'm like, what if I'm on Grinder the whole time? And we can comment on that. She's, what is that exactly? So we did that, and she to explain to our viewers, what is that? And I'm like, well, it's a GPS thing. Oh my God, I had no idea we were so close to a seminary. A lot of people here. And so she cut that joke, but she's that kind of person, very collaborative.
Is it true that you were offered the role of Angel in Rent, despite it being clearly a Puerto Rican character?
Yes.
How did that
So
work?
I do have a shack in Puerto Rico, but I don't know if that makes me a Puerto Rican.
How did that work? Like, if the character is written as a Puerto Rican, how does John Cameron Mitchell get offered the role? Was this the original role?
Yeah. Yeah. And it was very flattering, but even then, when people weren't necessarily as stringent about, those kind of things, casting wise, and sometimes you can get over stringent. Like I remember people complaining that the lead in the new West Side Story wasn't Puerto Rican. He was Colombian. I'm like, guys, these are Caribbean. There's a lot of things in common here, more in common than not. Let's not get carried. You could start saying, well, she's not Puerto Rican living in San Juan. You could keep splitting the hairs. Yeah. But it's understandable. Like, I'm not going to play a black role unless there's some weird conceptual thing going on. Jean Genet's play the blacks. All the white characters are played by black folks. The black characters are white. So that's part of the concept. But for something like Rent, it was weird. It was like, thank you so much, but I don't feel qualified to play this unless it wasn't that great a role. I never quite understood what was going on. Why is she dressed in the Santa outfit? Is she trans? Is she in drag? Or, I think he was creating a kind of, I wouldn't say token character, but emblematic without going deep enough. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but Angel is a drag queen.
Angel is a drag queen, but is always in drag. Which is not
No. When they sing "I'll Cover You," or in the reprise of "I'll Cover You," Angel's out of drag.
Okay, good. Then I don't know Rent that well.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I always know. I always respected Rent, but didn't like it. I loved its heart, but I didn't like its clothes. If you know what I'm saying, I didn't buy it. Certainly wasn't like it was supposed to be like downtown '90s, East Village. I'm like, I don't know anyone like that.
You know what's so funny? I'm a Rent head, right? And so, like, a few years ago, I interviewed Rosie O'Donnell, and I was talking to her about Rent, and she said the very same thing. She's like, I didn't. I'm like, really? I'm like, Rosie, you're breaking my heart. Like, I thought that you were like loved Rent. She's like, not really.
I also, I feel like he probably needs to do a bit more work. Famously dying.
Yeah.
In the final rehearsal. And I think it wasn't fully thought through. He was about to start previews where you do some changes, and some changes never happen. Part of it is also like intelligibility. I couldn't always hear what people were singing, lost the story. But that said, I think it's had more positive effect than maybe any musical, modern musical for sure. More than Hedwig, because more people saw it, and it's a bigger thing. So it's like, to me, it's like a vital thing, a very vital thing. But aesthetically, I couldn't quite find my way in. Though, and the one song that I always related to was the Dyke Lovers song, whatever it's called.
Take Me or Leave Me.
Yes, Take Me for What I Am.
Yeah, the best.
Beautiful. And interestingly, I thought they wanted me for the narrator Mark character.
Yeah.
When they were saying they wanted to cast me, and then I was like, I don't think so.
You would have made a great Mark.
Well, interestingly enough, those are the songs that I related to the least. The character I related to, but I hated the that one big song, the Millennium, whatever it's called, his giant song, right at
Yeah,
the end
yeah.
of the movie.
The name of it. Why is it Without You?
No, it's I can't remember, but it rubbed me the wrong way. And then, interestingly, later after Hedwig, Spike Lee was going to direct it on screen, and he called me because I had done a small part in his one of his films, and he said, "John, I'd like you to play Mark in the film." And I'm like, "I'm so flattered, Spike, but I must decline. I just don't relate to the character, and it doesn't always ring true. I mean, I'd like to know what you would do with it, and I would much rather have seen that than the film that did come out, because he knows New York and he knows more that scene, and he's a musical fan, and he made a great. It was really more of a shooting the play of Passing Strange, which is a
Yes.
musical. I felt much more the feelings that I wanted to feel in Passing Strange than Rent, because they do deal with some of the similar some things, not AIDS and certain things, but this aesthetic was closer to what I the music was better for me, you know what I mean? So so when Yitzhak in the film wants to be in Rent to play Angel, which is the character I was offered, is definitely a nod to that. And also its popularity. They're playing in Guam. I'm leaving.
Oh my God. John Cameron Mitchell, this has been so fun. Thank you.
Very fun.